Welcome to the Morton Matchday programme, a regular feature that we'll be looking to put out throughout the season, giving you key personnel, match footage and so much more. It's been an eventful few weeks here, of course, at the club, with the arrivals of certain individuals, the Premier Sports Cup campaign and the imminent William Hill Championship season. Coming up in today's show, we'll be talking to Dougie Imrie as he takes us through his take on what's coming up in the season as he prepares the team for Dunfermline Athletic. We'll also be hearing the view from the director's box from Sam Robinson. And club captain Grant Gillespie sits down, talks about his contract extension and his hopes for the season. Before all that, of course, I took the opportunity to have a chat with the gaffer.
The Matchday programme is sponsored by Dalrada Technology.
Dougie, thanks for joining us as we look ahead to the start of the new season. Can we just go back a wee bit? There's been a lot of activity at the club in the last wee while, a raft of signings, getting even like Nathan and Tommy to commit to the club, and even the extensions for people like Ali Crawford and Shug and Gills and Sam Murdoch. On the overall mix, how important are all these elements to you as a manager in the club?
Yeah, it's important. Obviously it was very slow over the summer with all the stuff that was going on in the background, Jerry, which didn't help anyone. But I think we're in a better footing now. It has taken time, but I have lost out on key signings that I had pinpointed because of the upheaval over the summer. Sure. But listen, that's in the past now. We look forward. We've got a good nucleus of players now. We're still looking to bring in 2 or 3. That may mean that 1 or 2 leave the building, but that's just the way football works, unfortunately. But yeah, we're in a really good place at the moment. The group's really strong, albeit we're carrying 1 or 2 niggles at the moment. But hopefully within the next week to 10 days, they're all dried up and we've got a fully fit squad to choose from.
Every time I look around, there's a new face in the place. They all seem to get younger. They all get younger than me anyway. But I mean, that's what you talk about. We always talk about this mix of youth and experience that you want to bring to the team, and you're getting that balance, and you can see it out on the pitch. Yeah,
I think it's important. You need fresh blood, you need fresh legs, you need players that can move about the pitch freely, and you get that with the young players. They're enthusiastic, they want to learn, they want to get to the next stage of their career, and I think it's a great platform here at Morton for them to do that. We've been very successful over the last couple of years of bringing in younger players and moving them on, albeit not wanting to lose them, but unfortunately we have. But that's just, again, like I say, part and parcel of football. But yeah, we've brought in some really good young players. Chris Moore from Leeds United, Kerr Robertson from Rangers, Keane Taylor just came in last week from Preston. So, I thank the club again for their help in that regard, to give us the first and foremost the finances to go and do that, but also the backing to bring in younger players to hopefully develop and move on.
Let's have a wee look back then. I mean, I know the season starts this week, but it happened for us a few weeks ago. Premier Cup campaign, superb campaign, into the last 16. I don't think we could have picked a better tie than Aberdeen at home, but what's your own thoughts on all?
No, listen, I certainly think we had a better cup campaign than last season, for sure. We've qualified, which is always good for the club, which is always the aim, is to try and get through the competition. But I think we've done our job in 3 out of the 4 games. We picked 9 out of 9, which has got us here. No disrespect to the teams we played, but on paper we should have been beating them anyway. And my only disappointment through the campaign was obviously the disappointment of the second 45 at Motherwell. I don't think we done enough to get through anything from the game. I also think the game changed on the decision on the penalty. And listen, I'm not saying we went on to win the game. I'm just saying the game changes on that, because if we do get the penalty kick and we score it, then we're 1-0 up. Motherwell need to come and open up and get after us more. The fans then maybe creep onto the pitch with their frustration. The players, maybe get a little bit anxious and start, instead of making a 5-yard pass, trying a 50-yard pass, etc, etc. I've been there, I know what I'm talking about, maybe not so much for the support or anybody listening into my chat at the moment. But yeah, so overall I think a really good campaign, and like I say, we've picked up a very interesting tie in the next round.
We certainly have. It sets us up as well for the start of the season, which obviously is Dunfermline. We finished the season with Dunfermline, had a good result against them as well. But I think this is the most exciting division in the country now. And I don't just mean that because we've got the likes of St Johnstone and Ross County coming down to play. But when you look at the mix of sides in there, and you know, what would be, I can't say expectations to you, do, because that would be putting too much onto you. But certainly when you look at the breadth of talent that's out there, you know, where are we going to be aiming to do?
Like I've always said, my time here, I want to be better than the previous season.
Yeah.
So I know where I want to get to. My job and Billy's job is to drive the rest of the group to that level. But yeah, if we can emulate last season and be better, then again it's another successful season for me. You know, there's good teams in the division, but again that doesn't faze me. No. You know, it's 11v11 at the end of the day. 2 goals, 4 corner flags, 1 ball. The game's never changed in many years. It's just who can outmuscle the opposition on the day. But you're right, I think the league is one of the most competitive divisions in the world, if not the UK, if not the world, because there's there's not a lot between all the teams, Jerry, in my opinion. You know, they're very competitive, albeit there's 2 Premier League teams in it this season, in Ross County and St Johnstone, but like I say, the teams are evenly matched, albeit they may have a little bit bigger budgets, but again, the leagues and the teams are very evenly matched, in my opinion.
I know you don't like setting personal targets for yourself. You've never done that since you arrived here, and modesty forbids me mention all the Manager of the Month awards that you have. But in terms of that for the season, how do you view things for Dougie Emery coming forward?
Again, just to be the same as I've always been, Jerry. Just take one game at a time. Like I say, we've got through the League Cup now. We focus on Dunfermline come Saturday. Then we'll move on to Partick Thistle, and etc. etc. Like I say, I think once you start making targets and you don't get to those numbers that you've maybe set by quarter or week or whatever it may be, then you put pressure on yourself, you put pressure on the team. So we'll take it one game at a time. The only thing that I keep saying every season is, can we be better than the season previously? And that's probably the only target I'll probably say openly is, can we be better than we were last season? You know, I think, take away my first full season, the last 2 seasons we've missed out in the playoffs by 7 points. Yeah. So can we bridge that gap? Can we get there this season? That would be a great occasion for everyone. It would be a great testament to the group of players that have worked hard to do that. And if we could get there, it would be a great statement in how far we've came over the time I've been here. And
as always, that's going to take a number of factors. One major factor is the support for the club as well. The support out there, the cowshed right around the ground, in hospitality, wherever you go. What do you see the role of the Morton support being this year for the club?
Yeah, well, I said after the game on Saturday that they're 12th man. You know, they coming back as every single week, home and away, and they're magnificent. And like I say, obviously at the moment I know we're pretty low. I don't know if it's been because of the turnover of the summer, but I think, like I say, if we can get as many into this stadium as possible and come and get behind the group. Yes, listen, I know every week we can't always win games of football. That's just natural, but we'll give our all. And if we can get the fans out giving their all and giving that back, and then that certainly will help us be that 12th man to hopefully pick up as many points as we can this season.
Well, Dougie, hopefully we'll hear from you more often throughout the season. I know you enjoy sitting down and shooting the breeze. Good luck against Dunfermline Saturday and for the start of the campaign. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.
We will now take a look at the magnificent Premier Cup campaign. We've got some highlights for you from all the goals that we scored in that particular campaign. Sam, the word turbulence has been used a lot in the last couple of months at the club. What's your own situation on that?
I think turbulence is an accurate description of where it is. But I think the important thing to focus on now, Jerry, is that we got the result that we were looking for. We clearly have the backing of the members. So we draw a line under it, we learn the lessons, and we move on.
The lifeblood of any club, particularly a community club, is based on support and season ticket sales. Where are we at the moment on season ticket sales, and what can be done to improve upon even that?
Whilst we've seen a slight spike this week, year on year, we're pretty much flat on season ticket sales, which is, I guess, a little bit disappointing. But it's up to us to show the public in Greenock that we've got an offer here which is worth investing in.
The appointment of Billy Davis, according to the chairman, was a move that would make Scottish football sit up and take notice, which it certainly has. What's your own take on that?
Well, it certainly made the rest of us sit up and take notice as well, because having Billy around the building is a real boost to not just the on-field staff, but also the off-field staff as well. During my business career, I've been fortunate enough to work with many high-performing and highly skilled individuals in the business circle. And Billy epitomises that. He sets high standards, he expects it of not just all of us, but of himself, and I think he's going to be a great asset for the club.
You can mitigate for most things at a football club. You can't mitigate for the weather. So we had that situation back at the start of the year with the storm that ripped the shed off the good old faithful cowshed. What stage are we at with the repair on that?
We are almost complete, and I think a big shout out has to go to our new stadium director, Paul Farren. Paul's from that background, he's an architect himself, and he has been great at helping us navigate our way through the bit more of a minefield than I suppose most of us appreciated in getting that. So we're almost complete, it's almost there, and hopefully the fans will appreciate the work. We certainly appreciate the work that all of the contractors who were involved in this have done for us. It's been a great, it's been another one of those learning experiences, but with Paul's guidance, it's been a lot smoother than we anticipated it being.
Season ticket sales are like the hard copy. You get something and you're contributing directly to the club. But in terms of the commercial landscape that you're particularly involved in, where are we sitting at with that?
Obviously, the big part of the commercial landscape is the Dalrada deal. And getting that Dalrada deal through was big for us because it allowed us to set Doogie's budget, albeit a little bit later in the season than we would have liked, but we can set that budget now, and you can start to see the quality and style of player that he's wanting to bring in. And these are players that they're good players, they can be developed. And not only is Doogie excited about them, but Billy's excited about them as well. He sees them as people who can be developed. So commercially, it was important to get that deal over the line. Now, as part of that deal, there was, Brian Bonner had said to the MCT members that MCT members contribute £11,000 per month, which is a fantastic sum for us. Brian has said that for every pound over and above that, he will match that, pound for pound, up to a maximum of about £10,000 a month.
Which is a remarkable statement, is it not?
It is, and it's important because people naturally associate the club with the performance of the first team. But there's an awful lot of work that has to go on in the background. You'll even have seen in the Telegraph this week an article which talks about the commercial operations in the club and looks at that, specifically looking over at the piece of ground we have there for the community hub. Now that's important because to get funding for something like the community hub, grant funding for that is normally what they call matched funding. So if some organisation is going to give us 100 grand, we need to have 100 grand to match it. So therefore, that's why having a strong commercial arm, even though we're a community club, is very important for us.
I mean, it seems to me there are all sorts of levels that you can come in. I mean, heaven forfend that I bring up hospitality close to my heart. But there are areas that people can get involved in the club in terms of the commercial revenue.
I think there is, and I think that's where we need to sort of broaden the export. People clearly see the shirt and the front of shirt and the back of shirt, and these are the sort of big things that people associate with commercial revenue. But you're absolutely right to highlight the things that we see around hospitality is a big one, and not only for commercial clients entertaining guests, but also increasingly we're seeing it at other clubs being used as a reward for employees. So employees are getting a table for four as part of a reward for employee of the month, or these sort of things. And these are things that we would be happy to engage. Mark and myself would be happy to engage any business on that sort of front. So that's something we can do. But also, Jerry, this programme itself, for example, a relatively low-cost way of getting your name out there. You can sponsor the whole programme, or you can sponsor this rather entertaining segment, or you can sponsor the bit by Doogie or whatever. So there's lots of opportunities in there from the 3 figures to the 6 figures. There's stuff there that we're happy to talk to you about.
Sam, I couldn't have put it better myself. Thanks for spending time with us today and sharing your thoughts on the commercial future of Greenock Morton Football Club.
Pleasure, Jerry.
Girls, thanks for joining us today. You're about to start your 4th season at the club. You signed a contract during the summer, and there was a wee bit of uncertainty about that at the time, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a wee bit. Obviously, with the stuff going on behind the scenes, which they didn't take too much notice of. You just need to let the people involved sort it out. And thankfully, everything got sorted out. Got the call for the gaffer saying, we'd love to keep you. Would you love to stay? And once everything was sorted, I had no doubts in my mind that I wanted to, continue playing here. I've enjoyed my 3 years so far. I've had some really high moments here, really good, enjoyable moments, and hopefully a few more.
Yeah, I'm wondering then that we've signed a lot of younger players, obviously, but I think of equal importance to me is the fact that you signed a contract extension, Shug did as well, Ali Crawford, and it's that blend of experience and youth that the managers try to get permeated throughout the club.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, it was when I signed, Shug and Ali both re-signed as well, which was great to see. The massive members of the squad. And it's important to get that blend of youth and experience. And me, Shug and Ali certainly have, experience. So it's up to us to then, use that for the younger boys within the squad, the new boys within the squad as well, to, try and gel as quickly as possible. And if we can do that, then it sets us up for having a good season.
Your relationship with the gaffer's different from anyone else at the club. I mean, you actually played with him. A lot of people forget that. I mean, I know he's way older than you, right? But you did actually play with him, and that was one of the things that I think attracted him to bring you to the club as a player, and then as captain as well. What would you say the qualities are that Dougie Emery brings to the club?
Energy, enthusiasm, that real hunger to win. I think anybody watching the game can see that from the sidelines. Half the time I bet he wishes he still could lace the boots up and get back out there with us. But yeah, he's a born winner. He'll do anything it takes to win. And every day he comes in here, he tries to instill that within us. And he's never changed from being a player to a manager. He's the exact same. And yeah, he's, like I said, he wants to do anything he can to win. And it's important that we, try and instill that within ourselves as a squad and individual players. We have to use that real hunger and desire that he's got to go out there every Saturday and try and win football matches.
I mean, the club and the team itself is stamped with the whole Dougie Emery mark, what he expects. He's brought in Billy Davis as well. That's a very, very bold appointment that we've covered a lot in media. But from your own personal and playing side of things, how are you finding Billy out on the training ground? Is he bringing something different to the boys?
Obviously he's got that wealthy experience, having been in the game a long time. Had a great managerial career, obviously in Scotland but in England as well. So as players we just need to be sponges and just soak up all that experience that he has, and the small bits of guidance that he gives you out in the park, tactically, and even off the field as well. Just try and use all that experience that he has, try and make ourselves better. And he's been great out in the training pitch, working hard every day. So it's important that we as a squad, use his experience, but also use. He's energetic as well. He's still hungry, still driven, still wants to win. So it's a good mix between him and the gaffer.
As I said, it is a bold statement, particularly by the board. I would suggest that you're obviously working hard. The board are working hard with Dougie to sign players, but to bring in someone of that experience, and I think you can see the way the board is working now at the club.
Yeah, it's a real statement of intent from the board. They've, after obviously the uncertainty through the summer, they've once that was all put right, they've backed the gaffer. They've pretty much, they've not gave him everything he wants, because I'm sure they're still.
Always. Yeah.
But they've been great with him the last 3-4 weeks. Obviously bringing Billy in and then adding members to the squad, which is important, because if you want to go and have a successful season and be in it right up to the last game, then you need a good, strong, healthy squad, and that obviously with a few signings that have come in recently, bolstering the numbers in the squad will push for competition, push players to be at it every single day, because if you're not, there's somebody there waiting to take your space. So no, it's good. Obviously the board backing the gaffer, so yeah, it's exciting.
It's early days, of course, but it has to be said, the run in the Premier Sports Cup has been excellent. Even the Motherwell game, I think you were pretty close to getting something. Should have had a penalty. I'll speak to the manager about that. Should have had a penalty in that game, but we're in the last 16. It's a huge draw, Aberdeen at Capello. How exciting is that for the club?
Yeah, it's really exciting. Our objective before the League Cup campaign started was to progress. We managed to do that. Yeah, obviously the Motherwell result was disappointing. We felt they probably could have played better, but we matched Motherwell for large spells within that. So from that aspect, it's positive. And then obviously to progress and then to get Aberdeen at home at Capello, I don't think there's many better ties out there. So it's an exciting one to look forward to, but we've got a couple of massive games before that coming up in the league. So it's important that we focus on them, and then once Aberdeen comes around, we'll focus on that.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the league. The William Hill Championship kicks off this weekend, obviously, with the game against Dunfermline. I would suggest to you that this league is going to be the absolute must-watch league this year. The quality of the clubs in there that we're looking at, Ross County, St Johnstone, a revitalised Dunfermline, Partick Thistle, and of course a revitalised Morton as well. What do you think the challenge is going to be like this season?
Okay. We say it every year. We say the Championship is probably the hardest league in Scotland, and looking at it again, it's filled with teams that could potentially go on and win it. But for us, we just need to focus on ourselves. We know it's going to be tough week in, week out, but we've got, we touched on the experience. That's where the experienced members of the squad, when you do have a shaky spell, it's important that they step up, and anything can happen in this league, and that's important for us to the players that maybe haven't experienced it already. Then it's important that we use our experience and say, like, this is a Scottish Championship, like anything can happen, so we just got to keep grinding, keep working hard every day, and anything can happen. Your
role as captain, I mean, how would you define that? I'm going to suggest to you, obviously, that bringing in new young players like that, you've got to welcome the club and help to nurture them through the system we've got. Would you say that's a good definition of your role? Yeah, obviously there's a few aspects to it, that being one. Whether it's a young boy or an experienced player coming in, you've got to try and integrate them as quickly as possible, make them feel welcome, and then also try and be a leader within the changing room, but also be a leader on the training pitch and out in the field. On a Saturday, I'm the captain, but maybe I'm not. If folk watching the game probably think I could maybe shout a wee bit more, but I try and That's not necessarily your style, though, is it? Yeah, I try and lead by example by doing the right things rather than being the most vocal. Don't get me wrong, I think I could maybe still be a wee bit better in that aspect, but I try and lead by example by trying to do the right things, whether that's on the training pitch or off the training pitch. So, we could argue that you're Dougie's captain. You want somebody out there that's his mouthpiece, although to be fair, having watched him on the sidelines, he's pretty good at the mouthpiece himself. But you do lead by example out in the park, don't you? Well, I think I certainly try to. I try to give my all every time I step out in that field, whether that's from minute one or
if I'm a sub and coming on off the bench, then try and help the team as much as possible. And just because the captain doesn't mean it's I need to be the loudest. It's all cliche, but it should be 11 captains out there.
Yeah.
Helping the team. But I try and be vocal. I try and push the team on as much as I can. But I'd rather do that by actions.
Do you have any personal highlights of your time here?
There's a few. Obviously, first of all, being handed the captaincy was
huge.
Yeah, huge. First time I've ever really, first time I've ever been, nominated to be club captain. So it's a role that I'm thoroughly deserved.
Well, you do deserve it. Clearly, the gaffer thinks that.
I'm enjoying, and also like being captain and being able to lead the team out at Celtic Park in Ibrox in the Scottish Cup and then the League Cup was obviously a special moment. And then obviously in at Ibrox, being able to score the penalty, put us 1-0 up. Ultimately, we lost the game, but from a personal aspect, that was something that I always look back on with fond memories. They probably two are the ones that stick out the most.
Listen, thanks for joining us today. Good luck with the season ahead. I'm sure you've earned your band as being captain.
That was the wrong choice of words, but
and as I said, we've got Dunfermline, so thanks for joining us.
No problem.
And thanks for tuning in today. We're going to go out actually with some of the highlights against Dunfermline. We might even include your penalty goal.
Which one?
Oh, there you go. That's bravado. The last game of the season, of course, you scored as well. So that'll possibly in this highlight package. We're looking back on these great games against the Pars. Thanks again.
Was sponsored by Dalrada Technology. Bold solutions for a better tomorrow.